Note: today's episode of the Lost Pegacast covers conventions, My Little Pony episodes 3 and 4. If you want to listen to the best part of the podcast, the review of today's episode, skip ahead to minute 28. While the whole podcast is good, the best section is the final section, the review on today's episode. You might not find my review of Too Many Pinkies very good, so if you want, I'm fine if you want to skip that. Thank you. P.S. This is actually episode 7, despite the fact that I get that wrong in about 30 seconds. Hello every pony, and welcome to another episode 6 of the Lost Pegacast. I'm your host, Okami the Wolf 1, today when you're listening to this podcast. Well, today I've got a special treat for you folks. Instead of reviewing one, I'll be reviewing two brand new episodes of My Little Pony. Last week's episode, Too Many Pinkie Pies, and this week's episode starring this cutie mark Crusaders. I just watched it, so it's fresh in my head, so we'll do a discussion of both. I decided last week, after watching the episode, to decide what the fandom would do with a week of that episode being the newest, so I decided to wait and review the episode after seeing how the fandom reacted to it after a week. Actually, that's a lie. I only thought of that idea yesterday. I was just too lazy to do a podcast. But anyways, so today we'll run through the regular stuff and get to our double discussion. First, of course, I'm Okami the Wolf 1, and there are no guests. Again, I'm all alone here, but if you'd like to be on the Lost Pegacast, you can. Just send an email over to lostpegacast@gmail.com, and you could be a host on the show, because I'm looking for a co-host or guests or anybody who just feels like doing a pony podcast. Because I'm doing the best I can here, but to have at least one other person on a podcast really makes the show a lot better, because then you can bounce opinions off of each other, and if I watch an episode, I might notice something the other person didn't, and they might have noticed something I didn't, and it really helps. So if you just feel, a podcast, cool, yeah, I guess I'll be on it, you can be on it. I'd like to get a permanent co-host, but if you feel like you just want to do it for a week or two, yeah, sure. Just send an email. And speaking of mail, if you want to ask anything or say anything or anything at all, just send a letter again to lostpegacast@gmail.com. I'll read all the mail because the inbox is completely empty, and it has been for the past 2 months. So we'll get into our main topics after our first few items. As you know, we'll do the news, conventions, and the fan fiction of the week. I actually did not pick a fan fiction, but I have so many on my computer that I'll just open up the jumbo file labeled fan fiction and pick one. Let's see. Meeny, miny, mo. I should not go into that folder. And I really can't pick any. Let's go. Actually, let's talk about one, Discordant. That'll be my fan fiction of the week. This one stars Scootaloo, very appropriate considering today's episode, and it runs parallel through most of the events of season 1, I believe, into season 2 of... Sorry. It runs parallel to the events of season 2 of My Little Pony. It's Scootaloo and Discord. Discord is still trapped, but he has a little bit of magic left in him, and he's able to whisper out to other ponies and kind of communicate them through their brain. What's it called there? Telepathy, thank you. So he's chosen Scootaloo because she's extremely susceptible to it, and he's slowly turning her away from her friends and messing with everything. And so he wants to get free, and he manages to convince Scootaloo to help him get free. And so everything takes turns for the worse, and it's a good adventure fic. I actually haven't read the whole thing. I read through 7 chapters. I actually, because I do my audiobook readings, I read through chapter 7, but I didn't read the whole thing, because the whole thing is, oh, it's not too bad, 134 pages, over 22 chapters, I think, and that's Discordant by Ezra09. And so, well, that's my fan fiction. I've really got to start picking these out in advance, but I like that one enough. I did an audiobook reading. Speaking of the audiobook readings, I finished a novel. I finished reading Twilight's List, the whole thing. And as soon as I figure out how to do it, I'll post all the audio files on Mediafire. Usually if you look through my audiobook files, if you go to the very last chapter of any book, that will be where the download link will be. Because if I put it in the first one, then people will just download everything and I won't get the views. So I put it in the last one. So, I mean, even if you just want to check it out, leave some feedback, I could really use that. Help better myself through, people noting stuff and whatnot, and giving tips, and, it really does help. And this podcast will be posted on a new place. It'll be posted on my Tumblr. As you could probably guess, the Tumblr is okamiTheWolf1.tumblr.com, and although the Tumblr's name is Wolf's Art, I had it named something else, but Wolf's Art. But I'm basically just posting art there. That's my main blog, and I'm posting art, and these podcasts will also be there, but mostly original content there. So, now that that's done, let's get on to news and conventions. There is, where's my page? Convention news, of course, I haven't talked about it in a while, but there's GalaCon 2013. And GalaCon 2013 website, here we go. And let's see. Darn, I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. August 3rd and 4th, 2013 in Ludwigsburg, Germany. Okay, so, yeah, that's the Germany one. I don't know why I thought it was TrotCon. No, was that the British one? There were so many within the past 6 months. It's hard to keep track of them all. So, GalaCon will be there August 3rd and 4th. I have no idea how much it costs, but if you're listening to this, you're probably going to have to, at least for, anyone near me, you're going to have to pay for airfare, which it's a solid $1,000 for a ticket this far in advance. Also is the Las Pegasus Unicon. Now, they are actually having a contest. Their fanfic writing contest. Now, I'm not sure. They don't really say much about it, but apparently you get a lot. The prizes are really worth it. I know it with Everfree. You got your fan fiction in the booklet, but I think you actually get hotel discounts and stuff if you win. So they don't really have much here on their site about it. So there's that, and actually there's one more. Let's see, what else? There are 2 more I want to talk about. Brony Fest, which was going to be in Louisville, Texas, I think, looks like it's not happening because they did not raise the money, as far as I can tell, if that's the one. yeah, they did not raise the money on, oh, they didn't raise the money, so it doesn't look like that one's going to be happening. Although another one is going to be BronyCon. That one is going to be awesome. I am definitely going to BronyCon. BronyCon 2013. At this point, it's relegated down to a yearly convention, where originally it was a quarterly because it was so small, and then the last one, which you could also call the first annual, the June one, was so big at 4,200 people. And even better, they've moved it. It's going to be at the Baltimore Convention Center and Baltimore Hilton. I know, nice, right? We all get to stay at the Hilton. Really nice. So, I can't wait. This one is, it says August 2nd. I'm pretty sure it's more than one day, but it'll be at the beginning of August at the Baltimore Convention Center at 1 West Pratt Street, Baltimore, Maryland. 250 days remaining, actually. They even have a counter. Wow. I might be there. I'm definitely going to be there, although I might get a table and sell plushies and artwork. We'll see. The problem with being a dealer is that you don't get to go to the panels. So it's like, do I, do the dealer, sell stuff, or do I go and really enjoy the whole thing? Because I'm not going to be able, unless I sell out everything within 5 minutes, I'm not going to be able to enjoy the whole convention. I mean, that'd be great, but it's not something that's likely to happen. I'll probably have plushies, though. I'll definitely have plushies and artwork if I'm there. I haven't decided, but if you think I should be there, then leave some feedback. And because my plushies haven't sold on eBay. At least I don't think they have yet. I should check. But if people will buy them, then I'll definitely have them. So, BronyCon 2013, I do not know how much it is going to cost. Let me click on register. Here are their prices. The early bird 3-day pass is at $65. And so that's what it is now. They've got the 13 and under 3-day pass at $40. Friday only at $45, Saturday only at $45, Sunday only at $35. A sponsor pass at $125, the Silver Spoon pass at $250, sorry, did I say Silver Spoon? Silver Sponsor Pass at $250, the Gold Sponsor Pass at $500, the Platinum Sponsor Pass at $1,000, and the Diamond Sponsor Pass at $2,000. Now let's see, with the Silver you get a free shirt, jump to the front of the registry line, and free Wi-Fi. Let's see. The Gold, you get a gift card, swag bag, and line preference and special seating on top of everything else. Platinum, you get all that, plus an OC drawn on poster with other Platinum sponsors. Let's see. An exclusive t-shirt. Yeah. And Diamond, hotel room paid by the con, special thanks opening and closing ceremonies, exclusive Diamond sponsor hoodie, on top of everything else. That's actually worth it. You don't really get much for the Platinum, but the Diamond sponsor pays for your, and what is that, 3 days at the Hilton, that's $600, so maybe $500 with $450 to $500, depending on the rates for the convention. But still, that's... So, let's see. I think that's it for convention news. Yeah, that's it for convention news. So, let's move on to regular news. Head on to whoovesnews.com. let's see. I don't actually know if there's really any big special news. Any big things that happened. Although there was another Licious animation. This was Octavia, so it's Tavi-licious. It was pretty good. Maybe it was the lag, but it looked a little choppy to me. I'll have to rewatch it. But still, it was funny. I actually don't have much for news, which is good because you all want me to jump right into the episode reviews. First, we'll be doing Pinkie Pie. Too Many Pinkies. So, I shall pull up the episode, and I'll take a short break and just scan through the episode quickly, and then it'll be fresh in my mind, and we'll talk about it. I'll be back in a minute. And I'm back. So, I just did a quick run through of the last episode, and it's so funny. So, of course, first we have Twilight being Twilight in front of the diner doing her spells. Of course, she messes up, and now we have orange animals around. And then Twilight, and then Rarity comes in showing off a new dress and being all Rarity. And everyone is acting all in character, and it's just Pinkie's all bouncing around and worried about having fun, because she wants to have fun with everybody and do fun everywhere. And of course that leads up to what happens. She helps Rainbow Dash with a cloud, and then later Rainbow Dash says doing the cloud work was really hard, and she was going to take it easy. And so Pinkie Pie is just being Pinkie and running all over the place. And she finally collapses at Fluttershy, who magically just has a couch, a fainting couch. And Pinkie's on it, and she's completely covered with butterflies. It's just so funny. And then she realizes that she has to decide between who to have fun with. Such a concept. And so she's got her little clock, and she does that ticking with her head, where her head is like the second hand. Somebody actually did a clock of that. Just it had the time at the bottom, and Pinkie's head just doing that tick 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 going around. That was interesting. There was a lot though. The fandom, they did a lot of like drawings of millions of Pinkie Pies and stuff. And then of course we had that Pinkie clock. And then there were fan fictions already of Pinkie and other Pinkies. And so she goes into the ever-free forest looking for the mirror pond. And sorry there, I lost my place. I had to stop it. I got interrupted. Darn, I forgot what I was saying. So Pinkie Pie goes, and she makes clones of herself with a mirror. So yes, it's the Attack of the Clones, or oh man, what was the name of the Star Wars movie there? Let's see, Star Wars, The Emperor Strikes Back. I can't remember, but man, I'm terrible. I barely watched the movies. I saw them once. But, so, yeah, Pinkie makes her clones, and the clone keeps getting everyone's names wrong. And so she goes off to see Applejack while the real Pinkie stays with Rainbow Dash. But the clone never makes it because she realizes there's other fun, and she can't decide, and she goes back to Pinkie, and she's all sad. And so Pinkie decides to make more clones. And so they double it. But then the clones, at this point 3, decide to double themselves to make 6. Then those 6 clones decide to double the clones again. So that we've got like, I think they made up to like 30 clones. I'm not sure because they show different numbers at different times. let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's a solid dozen clones at least. And so they just attack everything. Applejack's barn falls down because she's doing a barn raising. And now the whole town is mad. And they all turn to Twilight to do something. And thanks to a convenient plot contrivance, Spike finds a hidden book. And it's got the legend in it. And so she realizes that she can't, if she sends the wrong Pinky back, it could be disastrous. So she's got to figure out a way, and now the real Pinky is all sad. I mean, really sad, but she doesn't turn Pinkamena, like her hair doesn't deflate, but she still looks sad. So now we've got, Pinky can be sad without her hair going all So she gets the idea that Twilight should give them all a test. And get this, the test is watching paint dry. Which is really funny because there was a fan fiction called Pinky Watches Paint Dry. I didn't read it, but I heard it was really philosophical and stuff. So I was like, oh boy. Twilight uses the "what in the wide, wide world of Equestria" quote again. Although she used that one like last season. And then she finds Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash hiding out in a bomb shelter. I mean, hiding with all Fluttershy's friends inside of a tree. Plus, to get all the Pinkies together, they have Applejack and Apple Bloom corral them like they're cows, and they herd them all into the town hall, and that's where Twilight gives them the test. And one by one she zaps them, and this is where like DHX was like trolling the bronies because of they know the fandom, and so all the Pinkies they get distracted, and one of them says, "Look what I can do with my hand! Look what I can do!" And she blows into one hoof, and the other one little fingers pop out, and then of course Twilight zaps her. And then another one and says, I bet you can't make a face worse than this. And then she fixes her face and it looks like a G3 pony, and it's like, oh. Even the other Pinky shuddered, I think. And then that one got zapped. And so it went on, and finally they got the real Pinky back. Oh yeah, and Rainbow Dash was wearing a wristwatch too. For those of you who can't like to notice every little thing and add it to canon, wristwatches are now canon. And so it was they went down and they got rid of all the Pinkies, except for the real one. So yeah, she learned that having a lot of friends is better than always having fun, but with all those friends, you have to choose between who to have fun with. So that was basically the episode in not much of a nutshell, because it took me just as long to describe it right now as it would to watch. But so the episode was really good. We had Pinky and the Attack of the Clones. Again, I think the DHX staff love Star Wars because they've made a Star Wars reference in every single episode this season, pretty much. They made one during the first, the two-parter, the opening two-parter, then the whole Attack of the Clone thing, again, Star Wars, and they make one in the next episode, but I'll get to that one after, so they must really like Star Wars. I like it too, but the original stuff, I haven't even seen the 3 prequel movies. I don't even want to, really. But so it's a little hard to really discuss too much the episode because I'm the only one here. But the episode was really good. We didn't really see any more of Ponyville so much. we saw that we now know that there are all sorts of things in the Everfree Forest. Well, we knew there was a lot, but now we know that, this extends it even more. There's strange magical ponds and all sorts of stuff. We also see where all the little animal critters live, or at least in the bear cave that Twilight found all her friends hanging around in. So basically, this was a regular slice of life episode. We didn't get any more backstory into whatever it is the princesses are preparing Twilight for, because we got hints of something more that they're going to do for Twilight, bringing her to the next step of her studies, possibly preparing her for something big. We got none of that, basically. It was just a slice of life episode. Pretty funny. I wouldn't say we learned a lot for, what's now canon, what's not. Didn't really see any new areas, per se. I mean, we saw the cave that the Mirror Pond was in, but that was about it. Oh, yeah, and the hollowed out tree where her animal critters live. And if you notice, they live a lot like ponies. They can't speak, but they've got little tables and bowls and stuff. And let's see, there wasn't a lot that we would have learned. But it was just a plain, funny, regular episode. There were no musical numbers today for this episode. I really can't seem to say a lot about this one. I've got a lot to say about the next episode, but really not much to say about this one. So I guess we'll take a break now, and I'll play a song for you, and then after the song, we'll talk about the next episode, the new one that'll probably take up a lot of time. The One Bad Apple episode, Season 3, Episode 4, right after this song. Welcome back. That song was actually the song for this episode, and it was pretty good. Not the super bestest best song again, but one of the better songs. I liked it much better than the opening songs. The two songs during the season opening, the season premiere. So far my favorite song this season. It kind of sounds like a 90s kind of song, as opposed to the last song the Cutie Mark Crusaders sang was an 80s song, and this time it's a 90s song. So it's pretty good, and I thought the whole way they did it was really good. Like, you see them running towards the screen with the I think they're apple seeds being like peeled behind them, or it could have been flower blossoms, I'm not sure. And then like you would see Bab's seed, and she would jump in a puddle of water, and they would be all wet, and their manes would be all soaked, and then she'd throw apples at them, and they'd be tripping over apples, and the way that the song was done, it was really, really good. I'll get into that, some of it a little later, because first I want to, of course, go through the episode and talk about everything. And I just want to clarify, I made a mistake at the beginning. I said this was episode 6. This is episode 7 of the Lost Pegacast. So, I've got the episode, and basically I'm going to play it. And of course, it starts out with Apple Bloom running all around her room, trying on all sorts of different crazy clothes. Now, I was interestingly enough, and this will only be really be known by people who were there, but Brony State was hacked. I was in the Brony State live stream with like 3,000 other people, and and barely 30 seconds into the episode, it was hacked. And we're not sure who. It said /v/, or some people think it was GNAA. It seems to be one or the other. And it was like, what the... And the video, it was inappropriate. There was language in, the video that looped in the place of My Little Pony. And it's like, well, this is a kid's cartoon, and suddenly they hacked it with adult content, and it's like, what? So, that was terrible. I'm not sure exactly what the reactions were on Celestial Radio, because I listened. The Celestial Radio has the pre-show podcast commentary, and then I listen whenever there's a commercial on. I listen to them on Celestial Radio, but it was really lagging. I'm not sure if it was on my end, but after the episode, I went and I got nothing but some static. It sounded like paper shuffling or something, and it was like it was odd, for a internet station. And so after the credits roll, we see the Cutie Mark Crusaders all just bouncing around and being all happy and giddy, and I couldn't help but laugh. And we see both Fluttershy, Fluttershy's not there, I don't know why I said that. We see both Scootaloo flying a little, and Sweetie Belle use a bit of magic. It's just a little burst of magic from her horn, and Scootaloo's only flying a little, but still, it shows that they're maturing, they're learning, because there were talks of Scootaloo not flying, or her original concept was that she was going to be handicapped and not be able to fly, but it looks like she's finally flying. And then we see the brand new character Bab's Seed, which is a play on the phrase bad seed. And her design is fine, and throughout the episode she'll flick her short tail so that it covers her flank. But her voice gets kind of annoying. I'm not sure if it's a cross between a New York and a Southern accent, or just New York, a really bad New York accent. No offense to the voice actress, but the voice is, at least I found it somewhat annoying, and I think some other people did too. And then we have shiny flanks, and all his shiny flanks, and it's just, it's just cute. Now, I found the writing for this. Not only was the writing the best for this episode with all the little gags and stuff and dialogue, but I found the animation was really, really... It was more noticeable than Too Many Pinkie Pies for the higher animation quality. We see around the entire clubhouse, which is pretty good. And we see they have a little loft and the lantern and some pictures and tables and stuff, and a spot on their floor where they come up with good ideas. And then when they get into a huddle, they're all, all together, and the shadows are really good, and then Scootaloo looks really cute with huge eyes. I don't know, she's smiling and looks cuter than normal. I'm not sure why. And so they all agree to show her their float for the parade that's coming up. And it's a giant pumpkin. Giant 3-wheeled pumpkin. And here's an interesting thing, because now automobiles are canon, I guess you could say. Well, more steam and steam-powered cars, not gasoline, modern, super-fast cars, but steam-powered. Yes, we did have the Flim and Flam brothers with their car, but that was magic-powered. But these are steam-powered, actually, and they show it. Although it's not shown till later, because Bab Seed, as soon as Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon pick on her, her character goes from a little quiet and just a little shy to suddenly flip-flops, and she's a bad girl. In fact, if you notice, her hair suddenly flips to the other side. Like, in the last shot where she's good, it's on the left, and then the shot immediately after, it's on the right. Actually, it goes right back to the left after that. I'm not sure if that was an animation error or what, because I think I pointed out one in the I did point out an animation error in the second episode. And then she completely wrecks their float, and her hair is flopped back to the other side. I mean, that's not too bad. I mean, hair can flop off screen. And then she kind of half threatens the CMCs, like, because they threatened to tell Applejack, and they decide, they're not going to be snitches, even though Sweetie Belle wants to tell Apple Bloom, and she's all sad and wants to cry, and she's so cute, and Scootaloo's all mad, but they're all so sad, and they're so cute. So they're all moping around in their clubhouse, and they decide that because she's only going to be there a few weeks, they just have to avoid her for the entirety of her stay. Like, that's going to be easy, right? And then we get into the song. And this was, I talked before, the song was really good. 90s song. I think it's all of them, I think it's technically all three of them singing. But I think Michelle Creeber does all the voices. And they're all bobbing around and looking really cute. And then we get some good angles, like they're in Sugar Cube Corners, and it's like extremely early, or no, the sun is just setting, so we get some nice shading. And then there's a montage, and they're being just chased around and trying to avoid her, yet she keeps like following them. And they split the screen into three, with each of them having a different color, and I think it's a reference to Powerpuff Girls. I don't know, I haven't seen it in so long. Oh, and then it's canon. Ponyville has a movie theater. Yes, and you see a bit of like a 1950s movie theater commercial for food with the dancing popcorn and dancing soda. So they have a movie theater on top of a roller derby rink and a bowling alley that we'll probably never see again. But they have it, so for all of you who want to write that into your fan fiction. And the montage continues throughout them, like, just getting attacked, and like fruit gets thrown at them, and they get splashed with water, and mustaches drawn on them. Yeah, this episode was really, the animation was really high quality. I'm looking, the backgrounds are extremely detailed, a lot more than they were previously. So they're just all sad now, and even worse, she takes over their clubhouse, and Scootaloo just loses it. She gets this weird look on her face, like, like, eye-twitching type, with the, gritted teeth, and it's like, ugh. And then she kicks up their gangplank, so now they can't even get in. So they've lost everything. They can't go to their clubhouse. They can't go anywhere without running into her. And so, it is really sad that it's bullying to the max. And then Sweetie Belle cries, and Apple Bloom pulls an umbrella out of nowhere. Oh, and here's something really interesting. Now, we all know that there's a windmill in Ponyville. More like the old style grist mill windmills, not like a electricity producing windmill. And we see that in some landscape shots of Ponyville. Well, now we know that Sweetie Belle and her parents live right next to that windmill on the edge of a lake. And we see a whole new shot of Ponyville, because, we get several, standard views, like looking down this street, or by this, by Carousel Boutique, or in the town square. We get all those standard shots, but now we get a whole new background vector to work with. And you see Rarity's father fishing, which is exactly what you'd expect him to do. I hope that counts toward my Season 3 bingo, as seeing more pony parents. And we get to see Sweetie Belle's room, which is another vector we get to use. And, she's pink and purple with swirls everywhere, and it is pretty cool. So Sweetie Belle still wants to tell somebody, because there seems to be nothing they can do. And as an extra detail, you can see the windmill outside. And I think it's going to be... I think actually with some of the shots they show, I can draw up a slightly more accurate map of Ponyville. Because I've been wanting to for a while now draw an accurate map of Ponyville as they show it. With every street and house and stuff. This will help immensely. It'll help enough. So then suddenly, Apple Bloom gets an idea, and she cackles to herself. I don't know if I mentioned it before. Oh yeah, and she's been kicked out of her bed too, Apple Bloom. She's got to sleep on the floor under a newspaper. And the others come and get her in the middle of the night with a really bad signal. They go, moo! And it doesn't sound like a cow at all. So she sneaks out and downstairs with the others to rebuild their float for their super secret plan. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but because I mentioned the Star Wars references, but they did another reference. They said that she went over to the dark side. And if that's not a Star Wars reference, I don't know what is. Because that was just, they really love their Star Wars. And this is where I found this episode had some of the better dialogue. It was just little things like that. In the part I've got right now, they're prepping to rebuild their float. And then suddenly... Scootaloo covers Sweetie Belle in this brown dust, and it's luster dust, I think. But she's all like shiny and squeaky and like latex. The way she's squeaky, and then Scootaloo's like, "Did you get the thing from the place?" And she's just got these looks, and it's just like. I don't know how to... You've got to see it. I can't explain it. It's just like, did you get the thing from the place? And then they go along, and there's a montage of them rebuilding their float. Cue the A-Team music. No, seriously, they cued the A-Team theme. I mean, it's slightly changed, so it's not, but it was the A-Team theme. And then, just to remind us that they're still trying to get their cutie marks... Scootaloo, who's covered in grease, comes out with the image of a wrench on her flank, but it's just more grease. And so they fixed everything up, and of course they're really tired. And they're all prepared for the big plan. And boy, it's a doozy. But it's pretty cool. And then we see some more shots of that same street. And Spike and Pinkie Pie being funny with the scent of pies. And Rarity with her opera goggles, waiting for the parade to come down the road. And so their float is a giant golden apple. It is pretty cool, really. I mean, it looks awesome. Much better than their pumpkin float from the beginning. And Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle's like, it's a smash, isn't it? No, not a smash. It's a hit. No, I didn't say hit. And so she goes and turns it on, and it starts up. Gears turn and belts move, and she sets the timer and has this evil look on her face. And there's a smokestack coming out the top, so it's basically steam powered. But it's mostly a paper mache frame, but it's got a little steam engine in there somewhere. And so they bait her to get into the booby-trapped float. And it worked perfectly. And now she's in the float and drives off. Of course, the car only goes like 12 miles an hour, or their float, I should say. And then there's the huge plot twist. They all have slightly evil looks, like she's gonna get it. But then Applejack reveals that she's been having a lot of bullying trouble in Manhattan, and they're like, what? And so it turns out that she had become a bully to avoid being bullying. And again, this is, because My Little Pony, they tried to teach lessons, and so this really does apply to real life. And it can be really hard if you're being bullied, to find out, exactly what you can do. I mean, you could, tell someone, although you could be called a tattletale, and there are fine lines between, they're not fine lines, they're an extremely blurry line between when you can tell and when you're just being a tattletale. And then again, you can only take so much bullying, and it's very hard to, I guess you could say, counter the bullying without being a bully yourself. And so now they realize this, that they've become the bully. And then they run down the parade to try and get help from AJ, but they can't hear because of the marching band. And then they yell out that it was booby-trapped just as all the noise stops, And so then you get to play Count the Bonbons, because they run past like a dozen different bonbons. And it's really funny. In fact, you can see multiple bonbons at the same time, it seems. So they can't catch up to her. And we get some new screenshots we get some new footage of a different area of town again, and this helps making maps. And so Pinkie's driving a lettuce mobile, and they're like, let us in, and she thinks it's a joke at first, but it's not. They climb in, and she's reclining on a couch reading a fashion magazine, and Scootaloo takes the wheel and steps on it. She floors it, while the others are hanging from a rope ladder outside, and they can't get through to Babs that the thing is booby-trapped. And their float crashes, and Pinkie's all like, lettuce salad. Oh, sorry, no, she said, she's yelling, veggie salad. And they crash, and the float is just now a pile of lettuce. And Pinkie's like, veggie salad. And she starts eating it, and Apple Bloom's like, really? And this is where, the writing really shows with just these little quips and bits of dialogue here and there. It really adds to it, and I found this episode to be better written. They get their message through about bullying while retaining a good story, a good plot with really good dialogue. And so I found this one of the better episodes, and possibly one of the best CMC episodes, because there was a point where we were getting a lot of CMCs, and even if this was the only CMC episode this season, I would be happy with it. Then their booby-trapped float, the egg timer goes off and it messes up the steering, and they manage to kick her out of the float as it goes over the edge into the lake, but they all end up in the mud. And actually, it's like right next to Rarity's house. And add insult to injury, somebody takes a photo of them. Also worth noting, they're using an SLR camera as opposed to some of those really old cameras like you would see them use at other times. So there are modern cameras and old cameras all mixed in there. And so they take a bath and explain that they had booby-trapped it, and they realized that they had become the bullies, and Rarity's like, not Rarity, and Sweetie Belle, after explaining it, is like, oh, why does life have to be so ironic? And her voice does crack once or twice through the episode. So, they realize that they should have told Applejack, like Sweetie Belle wanted. But they all make up, and they invite her into the club, and Scootaloo is like playing the drums, boom, 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 and then she really lets go. It goes on those drums, and then like shakes the whole clubhouse. Then Sweetie Belle starts reading off a list, and it goes on and on and on and on and on, and Scootaloo's like, get on with it, but you're the one who wrote it. It's little things like that, dialogue like this. And so they let her in to the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and they give her a coat. They give her a cape. And Scootaloo's like, oh, I've got to remind me to amend this, in reference to the long sheet of paper that Sweetie Belle is reading. And there's some confetti. And then there's the three of them all kind of zoom in the screen, and I think again it's a Powerpuff Girl reference. And then they send her off on the train to start the Manhattan branch of the CMC Club. And all in all, everything's happy, they're all better. And then Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon come in for one last taunt, and to avoid becoming the bully, she threatens that if they don't stop, she'll tell their mothers, and that scares them. Also, when they start to insult the CMCs, a patch falls off of Sweetie Belle's cape. And then Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon fall off the train platform into a pile of mud. And one pops up, and a pig pops up with Diamond Tiara's tiara on it. And so they're off, and there was they make a joke about her being a bad seed, but bad being good, not bad being bad. And Applejack doesn't get it. It took me a minute too to get through that one. But again, the episode was really good. The animation was really high quality. The song was really good. We got new views of a different area of Ponyville, which again is really good. It expands the town a little. And we get more Cutie Mark Crusaders, which is cool. But not just more, but they're, how do I say it, advancing? No, they're growing. I mean, they don't physically look bigger, but we've got them, Scootaloo is can fly a little. Sweetie Belle can use magic. So they are growing in the sense that they're maturing. That's the word I want. In the sense that they're maturing. And with all the dialogue and the little quips and the pop culture references, we have a Star Wars reference and an A-Team reference in both in the same episode. All of this made this a really good episode. Possibly, I want to say it's my favorite Cutie Mark Crusader episode. I really enjoyed it. Throughout it, they were very cute, and it was just really, really good. And the message that they wanted to convey through this episode gets through about bullying, which, other cartoons, especially in the 90s, educational cartoons, they would touch on bullying, but, it'd be like, the plots of the show would be terrible. A lot of those shows where they tried to be educational, just came off to be really lame, but this one really pulled it off, getting the message through and having an entertaining episode at the same time. Really hard to do while trying to teach a lesson. And they did it. And I congratulate the writers and the animators and the storyboarders, because this episode was really, really good. And the voice actors of the CMCs did really well this time around too. So yeah, I give this I'm going to have to say this is in my top 5 for favorite episodes. It's still early in the season. Of course, my top 5 list is always changing as new episodes come along. But it was really good. I give it a 10. I definitely give it a 10. I don't think I have anything else to say about it. I think I've said all I can. And much better than last week's episode, though, I will say that, because I wasn't able to say a lot about that. It was just a regular slice of life episode, and Pinky learned a little lesson that kind of didn't really apply to us too much, splitting time between friends because we can't clone ourselves. But this episode was, I was able to do an actual full discussion, which was really nice, because I usually have a little trouble doing a discussion like this. If you listen to the discussion of my last episode, which you did if you made it this far. But it is really, really good. Definitely watch this episode. Even if you got tired of all the Cutie Mark Crusader episodes from the last few seasons, you should definitely watch it. I think that's about all that's all I can say. If you want, you can see my stuff on Tumblr, okamithewolf1.tumblr.com. My DeviantArt, okamithewolf1.deviantart.com. So I might do a podcast next week, depending on the episode. If it was anywhere near as good as this episode, I will definitely do a podcast. If not, it may be another 2 weeks. But until then, good night, every pony. Or actually, sorry, good afternoon, every pony.